Hello everyone, my name is Pooja Vani and I'm a final year PhD student at University of Bern, Switzerland. Today I'm going to talk about our paper, What Do Developers Discuss About Code Comments? So various studies have shown that developers use comments to understand and maintain code. Comments are written in natural language, so it's easy for developers to express themselves in comments. However, comments are not checked by compilers or tools, therefore it gets difficult to enforce their syntax and style. So various programming language communities, companies, projects, or individual developers provide guidelines on how to write code comments. Now, this diversity of convention causes confusion among developers. Additionally, these conventions are not always easy to locate in the guidelines. It leads developers to refer various sources to get the required information. Developers refer to various kinds of sources, sometimes internal sources such as coding style guidelines or company documentation, or they ask their peers, or they can also refer to external sources such as mailing lists or question answer platforms. In this study, we investigate mainly two external sources, Stack Overflow and Quora. We analyze code comment questions from various aspects, such as what high-level topics do these questions talk about, or what types of questions developers are actually asking in terms of how to write a comment, or what is the problem with a comment, or what specific information need they ask, or what specific information they are talking about in terms of what is the syntax to write an API comment in Java, or what recommendation other developers suggest regarding commenting practices. To answer all these aspects, we first identify relevant tags or topics from the selected sources, then we extract the post and we perform automated and manual analysis on these posts. In terms of specific numbers, we identified 55 relevant topics from Stack Overflow and 29 topics from Quora. And from these following topics and tags, we extracted the post and performed the required analysis. Now, to get the overview of the questions, we performed LD topic modeling. LD topic modeling yielded 10 topics. It could successfully identify topics like document generation or comment syntax as expected. However, we also found many irrelevant topics such as developing frameworks for thread commenting or open source software. Now, what are thread comments? Thread comments are the comments you generally see on different blogs or articles. At the end, there is a section where users can post their opinion, or they can express what do they like about that particular post or not. Now, we found many questions about thread commenting, either how to write comments or how to develop features in their websites to have this section. This shows the challenge in automating the comment assessment approaches based on question answer platforms and also based on keyword based approach, because here it seems that comment term is used in various environments and in different contexts. To answer the remaining aspects, we manually analyze a statistically significant sample of posts. In types of questions, we focus on if developers often ask how to write comment, or what is the problem with an existing comment. Now, to identify questions like this, we categorize the question title based on a taxonomy inspired from the previous work. So here we basically, let's say, implementation strategies are generally the questions about how to write comment without knowing anything about it, or sometimes developers know how to write it but they don't know what is the problem with the existing comment, so they ask such questions in implementation problems, or they post errors related to their environment, or they also ask about possibilities on how can I write a comment like this. So the first dimension helped us to grasp the overview of kinds of questions. We found that developers prefer different sources to know different types of questions. For example, developers refer to Stack Overflow for how to write comments, whereas they refer Quora to know background information about comments. Now, as an example for background information would be why we use particular symbol for comments and not any other. Whereas implementation strategies, how to write this comment or how to write with using this tool. Now this result shows us that in our future studies, we should keep in mind that depending on the required information we want to gather from these sources, we have to look what is the nature of that source. To get the idea about which specific information developers are looking for when writing comments, we categorize the sample question based on other dimensions. These categories are inspired from previous work by Ahmed and their team. So here we focus on what features they are asking for comments, or what syntax they are asking for, or are they having problems in using a specific feature related to comments. So overall, we developed a very detailed taxonomy for developer information needs. So here we looked at, okay, in particular IDs, they ask about how to set up this tool, documentation tool, or how to change default comment template. Now this overall taxonomy showed us that developers are very interested in automating comments related tasks, however they find difficulty. So in terms of syntax, we found that developers put quite much effort in writing API documentation. It shows that they want to improve API documentation. So they ask questions about how to write this particular information in function comments or class comments or in inline comments. Developers also ask various types of features. They might not aware that these features does not exist, or they wish for such kind of features. So they are interested in adding various types of information in comment, for example, how to add an image or how to add an example in comments. However, they are not sure about the syntax, or they're not sure about how to do it particularly. So this list can help us in prioritizing our direction for comment generation and comment assessment approaches. We also looked at what recommendations developers suggest on these platforms. For example, when developers answer to a particular question, they suggest to developer, hey, don't do it like this, do it like this. This is the best practices. So with this, we identified 40 comment conventions that developers recommend on these platforms. Now, all of these results have various implications for future work. We list few of them. For example, with our study, we found that developers are interested in assessing their comments automatically. However, the tool support for checking comments automatically is not that much. Some languages do not even support style checkers or linters for comment. Or the languages which do support, they provide very limited support just for checking the formatting of comments, but not what is inside. Then another important aspect is that we know that developers look for comment conventions, but what we don't know is to what extent developers follow these comment conventions while writing their comments. Also, we found that developers look for various guidelines or conventions on these platforms. So it shows that they face quite much problem in locating conventions. So we should put efforts in making it easy for developers to find a required convention. In terms of future work, we want to investigate other sources to generalize our result. For example, we want to look at mailing lists where developers are discussing, is it the same kind of concern they are asking on mailing list, or there is something more in this area. Then we also want to survey developers to know which concerns bother them more than the other ones, which are more important for them to resolve than other ones. Then we also want to verify the tool support for code comments. Thank you very much for listening. The preprint for our paper is available on archive, and the replication package is available on Ziando. Thanks again for listening.